thing about presentations, you want to connect with your audience. Now, when we're with our friends and family, we're fine. We can do this around the dinner table. We can talk about a holiday. But if you suddenly said, I'll tell you what, can you go next door? There's 1,000 people next door. Tell them about your holiday. Suddenly it feels like a presentation about the holiday as opposed to a conversation about the holiday. So what we've got to try to do is to try and make it as conversational, as natural as possible. The trick is to make the message very clear and very sharp, but the delivery very conversational. So what we can't have is a soft message delivered too conversationally because it all falls apart. And we can't have a tight message delivered too tightly, because if you have that, it looks over-rehearsed and over-coached. Before people present, they often feel very nervous. And one of the ways to deal with that is to get rid of the fight or flight responses. And the fight or flight response obviously is saying run. You can't run because you've got to give this presentation. So we've got to find a way of getting rid of all that excess adrenaline. There are a couple of things you can do. If you have your hands in prayer position here, you breathe in, and if you push out, and as you push out, you're going to push your hands together. So you're going to go like that. What that does is it releases the upper chest, it frees your voice, but it gets rid of a lot of the tension. One other thing you can do, you know when you see people shaking, it's physically impossible to shake if you clench your buttock muscles. Because what's happening is the fight or flight response is saying, move the big muscle groups, which is the legs and the arms, so you can run. But actually, if you clench them, so if you squeeze your thigh muscles, clench your buttock muscles, it's actually physically impossible to shake. The other thing it does, of course, is it tends to make you more centered. If you do have notes, what people often do is the notes come up and down and they flip around, and we get very distracted with the notes. So if you're going to have notes, have them on a card and hold them about waist height. And if you never move the sheet of paper, people soon forget you have a sheet of paper there. If you're the kind of person that goes, I don't want to have notes, I want to look like I'm being improvisational about it, then the way to do it is in your head is to know where the sections of the talk are. When you finish the section, you take a couple of paces away and do another little section. The fact you've moved will help the audience because they know you've moved on to another section. It tends to stop it all being flat, but it helps you, the fact that you've actually moved. Once you've moved on, don't go back. Save it for Q&A. A lot of people say to me, I've got 20 minutes to speak at this conference. And I said, well, you have a 20-minute slot. It doesn't mean you have to speak for 20 minutes. And if, for example, you find that you've made your point after 16 minutes, sit down and shut up. Nobody at a conference is going to go, oh, I wish you'd gone on it, a bit of extra. So don't feel you have to fill it. And people who feel they have to fill it tend to actually overrun, and the conference is always overrun. Say what you want to say, but time it properly. So if you want to do a word check on your speech, and you're going to stick to a script, 150 words a minute is going to be about right. One of the best voice exercises is before you speak, if you breathe into your hand for a count of 3 and out for a count of 3. And you're going to do that 3 times, that's 18 seconds. And in 18 seconds, you can take 10 beats per minute off your heart rate, so actually you slow yourself down. But when you start speaking, you tend to align yourself with your emotional center, and the gut is the human emotional center. So if you can get the breath aligned with your emotional center, you tend to sound like you mean what you're saying. And if you follow those through, people really do make a difference in terms of how they come across and how they present.